It actually got picked up and thrown on its back against the hangar. I cried that morning when I was called out and told what happened to it. I managed to find somebody who rebuilt it. They found an old 172, managed to get the centre section of the fuselage from it. They took mine to pieces. They put the two pieces together, and they were telling me out of 262 rivet holes around the aircraft, every one of them fitted perfect. From that, at the time, I'd always kept the aircraft well tied down, but now I put 4 straps, rather like they use on the lorry to hold a load down, out at angles away from the aircraft, so that whichever way the wind blows, it's blowing sideways and it's pulling against the straps. If the straps were upright, they'd parallelogram across and move. With these straps, there's an over centre catch. And I always do it myself. I never let anybody with me tie it down, because I can have a big storm and I can go to sleep at night and know that they ain't gonna move.
Check seat frames and tracks for cracks or distortion, especially where the seat locking holes are. Check the dates of all hoses. If there isn't a tag on the hose, the details should be in the logbook. Ensure there is not excessive play in the control stick by moving them up and down and side to side. Also ensure the integrity of the link by moving one control stick. The other control stick should move almost immediately. Look at the windscreen and side windows and check for damage and crazing. Check that the fuel selector is free from binding. Examine the ignition key for wear. Operate the switch while trying to remove the key in each position, but don't turn to start. If the key comes out, the barrel is worn and a new barrel kit is usually required. Function all the lights. Leaking exhaust gases will erode the exhaust port, so check for a whitish substance around the cylinder ports. Check around the cylinder heads for cracks, particularly around the spark plugs. A common cylinder head crack appears across the spark plug holes and continues between the fins. Cracks can be hard to find, so look for signs of oil or combustion gas leakage. Leakage means a crack is almost certain. Check for damaged or broken cooling fins on the cylinder assemblies. The engine magnetos are up for 500-hour inspections, so examine the logbooks for overhaul or the last date of inspection. Check the exhaust system for any cracks, particularly around any welded joints. Check the exhaust shroud for distortion and evidence of exhaust leaks. Ensure the exhaust baffles are intact by shining a torch up the tailpipe. Check the engine mount frame for damage, distortion, cracked welds or tubes.
One of the things with a six-cylinder engine is, because it's longish, and it's a case of getting the airflow down to the back cylinders to keep them cool. And one of the particular things I find is when you land after a flight, is to let the engine run for a while to get some of the heat out of it. And so those back cylinders do cool down a bit. You do have to be very careful and look after it.
Check the propeller for damage. Old flight test reports should indicate any trend in the aircraft's performance and any defects noted during flight, so study the reports if they're available. Check the airframe, engine and propeller part numbers and serial numbers are those that are in the logbooks. If you're happy with the condition of the aircraft, have a thorough professional inspection carried out. Items that should be included in the checks are an engine compression check and an inspection of the struts. In the compression test, 80 pounds of air is input into the cylinder. An acceptable compression is between 70 and 80 psi. A compression of between 60 and 70 would indicate a possible problem developing in the cylinder assembly, which may require further investigation, or at least monitoring to ensure compression does not continue to deteriorate. A minimum compression allowed is 60 psi. A result below this usually requires removal of the cylinder assembly for a more thorough inspection. Because the wing struts are hollow, they can corrode on the inside. The best way to check for corrosion is to have an internal inspection with an endoscope carried out.